Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya and welcome to TFiR Newsroom. And today we have with us Adit Madan, Director of Product Management at Alluxio. Adit, it's great to have you on the show.
Nice to be here, Swapnil.
Today the focus is going to be the release of 2.9. But before we talk specifically about what's new there, what's exciting, I want to talk a bit about because there has been some gaps since we talked. Give us an update on the company. What's going on?
Swapnil, as you know, the Alluxio as a company, we established a new layer in the data stack, which sits between different compute engines and storage systems. The company has been executing on the vision, and it's really exciting to see the progress that we made recently. Aligned with the vision, a lot of our customers, there's good repeatability in terms of the use case that we have and the kind of environments that we get deployed in. The last 2 years as a company have been really good in terms of both the number of logos that we've acquired and also the revenue of the company. In terms of both, we've seen significant growth, 3x year on year, which is tremendous for a company at our scale.
Let's switch from the company and talk about technology a bit. Before we talk about this specific, update and announcement, talk a bit about, uh, remind our viewers what is data orchestration and what is its relevance or actually significance in today's modern cloud native AI ML driven world.
Yeah, so these days, Swapnil, if you look at the kind of environments that large enterprises and any enterprise, in fact, which is scaling a large platform for analytics and AI, they're operating across multiple kinds of technologies. And with data orchestration, what we're doing is we're introducing a new layer which sits between different compute engines for different kinds of AI and analytics applications and different storage systems, so that the applications now do not need to care about where data is coming from, whether coming from across different regions in the same cloud, across different cloud providers, or even across a hybrid cloud.
Can you also talk about what are some of the use cases, business use cases of this platform? Of course, you can also share names if you want to, but I'm more interested in the kind of uses there.
Yeah, definitely, Swapnam. So if you look at the kind of use cases where you would envision a platform operating across different environments, as you remember, I mentioned multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, and even across regions. For a lot of these use cases, there is a desire to not have vendor lock-in. There's a desire to use capacity across private data centers or even burst to the cloud for excess capacity. So bursting to the cloud is actually a very common use case for Alluxia as well. And cross-cloud access, either with a hybrid cloud, is another common scenario where we get utilized.
Since you talked about, of course, vendor lock-in, and that is a big topic. Is either way, we're also talking a lot about cost cutting. I don't really look at cost cutting because what we have learned from pandemic is that all those cost cutting measures that was done, they actually make you more cost efficient. Your companies are actually becoming more and more efficient, to be honest with you. Of course, remote working is one of the benefits of that as well. So I also want to understand, talk a bit about how Alexio kind of enables companies to kind of escape vendor lock-in and also become cost effective, so that first of all they don't have to worry about cost cutting, second the surplus costs that can go in other resources.
Definitely. So, Swapnil, when we talk to our customers, a lot of the times we get introduced in conversations about their data strategy, and the cost of the infrastructure is only one component of that, like you mentioned. We also talk about the agility aspect of their need to solve a problem quickly, and also their people efficiency, so that they can build the skill sets and the tools which are needed for that. So when we talk to our customers and our technology, as I mentioned, a lot of the time, the reason why they are going with the multi-cloud strategy is to prevent vendor lock-in and have the maximum agility of using the desired service from the compute or the cloud service provider of their choice. So in a lot of these scenarios, what we see with Alluxio is that the companies who are using us are they can run their services in whichever environment that they choose. One specific example recently, Rakuten is actually a customer of ours who is supporting the latest release. And their strategy has always been that they're designing for agility. They're running on premises and also in GCP, and also want to use other cloud providers in the future. And Alluxio is a key element which is enabling that strategy for them.
Now let's talk about 2.9 release. Talk a bit about what's new there.
Yeah, so the 2.9 release has three major highlights. The first one, it's related to operating across multiple environments. As I mentioned, a lot of the times when we get introduced for scenarios where the entire data infrastructure spans these environments. And as you can imagine, there's a desire for application portability across these environments. If I'm running an application on-prem today, I want to be able to run it in GCP tomorrow, in AWS the day after. So for all these scenarios, we've introduced a major feature in Alluxio called a cross-environment synchronization. And what this does is, when you're operating across these environments, you get a consistent view of data, and there's an active synchronization of metadata across these environments. So with this 2.9 release, we are at a stage in which multiple Alluxio instances, either in the same environment or even across these environments, act as one unit.
Now I want to talk about something that we hear a lot about once again these days, and I was at KubeCon, which is complexity of Kubernetes cloud native. Talk a bit about, to make things easier for you, how you simplify things, especially in the Kubernetes environment, so folks can easily leverage these technologies.
A couple of minutes back, we talked about like these top level things which are important, right? People efficiency is front and center with that, and a common tool set to manage multiple different environments and also multiple different kinds of tools is critical. And that's where Kubernetes also comes in, on a common tool set which is applicable not just for Alluxio, but also to other things which make the data stack possible. And for us, with with the data infrastructure being operated across different clouds, Kubernetes is also a critical component of that. So that's why we introduce something called a Kubernetes operator with custom resource definitions for managing multiple instances of our product across different teams, and these teams are different application teams or different business units for large enterprises, to significantly simplify this people efficiency which you need to be data efficient.
You touched upon this briefly earlier. I want to go a bit detail into once again. I'm talking about what are the things we talk about these days, which is security, and also we touched about performance earlier. So talk about improve security and of course performance enhancement with this release.
As part of this application portability theme that I just mentioned, a lot of the times there is a desire to have a common data API, regardless of the environment that we're operating in. And by API, what I mean is not just the protocol or the language that the application speaks, but also the access and authentication, access control and authentication model, and also the performance characteristics, which in turn translates to how the applications are tuned. So with this 2.9 release, what we've done is we've further enhanced our S3 API as the API of choice for applications interacting with data. And with the same S3 API model, we provide both authentication using federated ID providers and also a uniform access control model with integrations with plugins like Ranger and OPA, so that you can enforce the same API regardless of the environment that you're working in. So you can use the same S3 interface whether you're running in GCP or any other cloud or on-prem environment.
Adit, thank you so much for taking time out today and of course talk about the larger picture of this whole data orchestration, of course, landscape, and also the new release. Thanks for all those insights and information, and I look forward to a next discussion. Thank you.